Welcome back to another episode of Stories from the Workbench. I'm Pastor Dave Carl, and this is my shop of wonders. Today we're going to go from high-tech tools to very low-tech tools. Now, I love high-tech tools. And I love low-tech tools. Okay, I just love tools. Well, let's head over to the router table and I'll show you what I'm talking about. This is my table saw. But wait, there's more. It's also my router table. Now you might be asking, what's a router? Well, I love good questions. A router can be large, much larger than this, or rather small. And in essence, a router is a very fast motor attached to some kind of base. This is the collet that receives the shaft of the router bit, and the router bit is what does all the cutting. I have a few router bits that I use a lot. There is an endless variety, and that can round over, that can cut dovetails or a pattern bit, carve out hollows. The things a router can do are genuinely mind-boggling. If I were making, say, a tabletop, you don't want to have sharp edges. That's not friendly to your fingers. So you would route the edge into a round over. And this is friendly to your hands and to your fingers. If I was building, say, a cabinet, and I wanted to attach the top to the side, a very smart thing to do would be to cut a groove in the top that the side could fit into snugly. For this job, I need some help. Well, as you can see, because I did this freehand, I crossed the line on both sides, and it's quite a mess. It's virtually impossible to route a straight line freehand. So I'm going to need some help. I think I'm going to take this over to my router fence. The dado needs to be as straight as an arrow. So I will use my router table and my router fence. Here, I've turned the router upside down and mounted it under the table. This makes it an especially useful and amazing tool. By setting the fence, I can confidently run the board through and know that the dado will be cut perfectly straight. The router is perhaps the most versatile tool in my shop. Our next tool is nowhere near this technical. Well, this is a tool that certainly was used by the ancient Egyptians. My youngest daughter likes to call this a stick with two pointy things. Woodworkers call this a trammel. So what if I wanted to draw a perfect circle? Now, I am no good at drawing. So I have a circle drawing problem because, at least for me, drawing circles is really hard. So since I have a circle drawing problem, I need a circle drawing solution. The trammel is the perfect circle drawing solution. By pressing the point gently into the wood, I can now draw a perfect circle. And if I want a larger circle, I can just adjust how far apart these points are and draw a circle almost any size. If I wanted to build, say, a round dining room table, this would not do the job for me. But all I would need is to get a longer board. I could clamp the trammel points to this, and this is an 8-foot board. I could draw a perfect 16-foot circle if I wanted. So simple, and yet so elegant. Which is what a lot of people say about me, except for the elegant part. This is a favorite tool that I use virtually every time I'm in the shop. This is a dial caliper. If you have a measuring problem, you need a measuring solution. A dial caliper is an excellent measuring solution. The magic of a good dial caliper is it can measure the outside of a board, a little more than 3/4. It could measure the inside of a drilled hole, up 3 inches almost exactly, and even the depth of a groove or a drilled hole, up 3/16 almost exactly. I can measure the outside diameter of a round dowel. Then I can choose the appropriate drill bit in order to drill a hole that will fit it snugly. I paid less than $40 for this, and it works for me all day long. Well, that was fun, but now I'm ready for a story. And today's is God, Daniel, and the lions. And because this is a Bible story, I want to tell you one more time. Everything in the Bible is true. It really happened. Let me introduce you to Daniel. Now, Daniel was a good Jewish boy who lived about 600 years before Jesus was born. Now, things got a little rough for our friend Daniel because an invading army came in and captured all of Judah. Now, the Babylonians took many of the Jews back with them to their country, and Daniel was one of them.
Come with me, back to my place.
Oh no, me too. Whoa, 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 whoa. Despite being captured and kidnapped to a foreign country, Daniel decided to learn a new language and to do what he was told by his captors. Well, God blessed everything that he did. And in time, Daniel became a very important figure in this kingdom, and he even became friends with the king who had him captured. Now, Daniel never forgot about God. He maintained his faith. He prayed 3 times a day, every day. And he continued to be obedient to God. You see his little praying hands there. That's how you know he's praying. He continued to be obedient to God, even though the people that he worked for worshipped idols and did things that Daniel himself would never do. As a matter of fact, Daniel finally became one of 3 men who were running everything in the kingdom for the king. The other 2 guys and a bunch of their friends were jealous because the king was so happy with Daniel that he was planning on promoting Daniel over them and everything in the kingdom.
We've got to do something, or this Daniel will be our boss soon. Let's find out if he's stealing as much from the king as we do.
Oh, I like it.
We'll catch him in the act, and then he'll be thrown into prison. Or worse.
Yeah, if he steals half as much as we do, then he'll be killed for it.
Well, they tried to find out how much Daniel was stealing, or how sneaky he was being, or how he was abusing his power. And these bad guys, they couldn't find anything. Daniel was honest, working hard for the king, and completely loyal to him. And, as you can see, he's praying 3 times a day.
This Daniel is infuriating.
I know, what a goody two-shoes. I didn't like him much when I thought he was a crook, like us. But now I hate him.
Oh, me too. Hate. If
we can't get him into trouble with the king, what are we gonna do with this guy?
I think... Wait. Evil thoughts are coming.
Ooh, I love it when you have evil thoughts.
His strength is his loyalty to the king and his god.
Yes, so?
What if we make him choose only one?
Ooh, that is so evil.
I know. So evil.
I love it.
What was that?
What do you mean, what was that? That was my evil laugh.
Oh, do not ever do that again. Don't ever make that sound.
How about this?
Okay, now I'm embarrassed for you. Just get out of the evil laughing business. No more laughing evil. Ever.
These bad men knew that Daniel prayed on the roof of his house 3 times a day facing Jerusalem. They also knew he would never stop doing that. So they formed their evil plan, and they went in to see the king.
O great and mighty king, we would like to honor you in a great way.
We would? Yes, I'm thinking about a themed party with, a bounce house and, maybe funny hats for everyone.
Stop this or I will slap you right here.
Sorry.
Anyway, we would like you to sign a new law that we wrote up. It says that for 30 days, no one in the kingdom can pray to anyone or anything else but you, O great and mighty king. If they do, well, we'll have them thrown into the city dump. I mean, they'll be thrown to the lions.
It's important to know that in this kingdom, if the king signs a new law, it cannot be undone, even by the king himself. Now, these 2 bad guys, they knew that. And the king, I guess he just hadn't thought it through.
He signed it. He signed it. Oh, the king signed it. Da, 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 da.
So the king signed the law, which effectively put Daniel to death. Well, they posted this new law all over the kingdom, and everyone prepared to pray only to the king. Well, almost everyone. Not Daniel, and not the other captive Jews. I think Daniel knew that all of this was being directed right at him. Now, Daniel could have used his smarts to try and outmaneuver these bad guys. Daniel could have tried to get to the king and talk him into some kind of solution. Daniel knew this was not just a bad day for him. This was a spiritual attack on him and all the rest of the captive Jews, who knew they were never supposed to pray to anything or anyone other than God himself. This was an enormous spiritual attack on the relationship all the captive Jews had with God. If you have a spiritual problem, trying to outmaneuver some smart bad guys is not the answer. If you have a spiritual problem, trying to get the king to fix it is not the solution. If you have a spiritual problem, the only thing that will help is a spiritual solution. If we were truly paying attention and thinking clearly, I believe we would realize that most of our problems are actually spiritual problems. Daniel knew he had a spiritual problem. So he did the only thing that made any sense. He prayed.
He's doing it again. He's praying.
What did you just do? Did you just go?
Yes, that was my happy laugh. What's wrong with that?
Well, nothing if you're a sock puppet. No grown man laughs.
Fine, you do the happy laugh. I'll do the evil laugh. Let's go tell the lions they'll be eating kosher tonight.
Oh, sorry. What did we talk about? We talked about this.
Well, when the king heard what had happened, he also knew exactly what these bad guys had done. Now, the king tried everything he could think of to save Daniel, but even he could not undo the law. It's just the way it was. So the king had to order Daniel to be dropped into the lion's den. Surprisingly, in Daniel 6:16, the king spoke to Daniel and said, "Your God, whom you constantly serve, will himself deliver you."
Daniel, we tried to warn you. You just wouldn't listen. Sorry. What do you think? Happy laugh or evil laugh?
Oh, I'd say both.
As they lowered Daniel into the pit, he knew he didn't have a lion problem. He had a spiritual problem, and so Daniel prayed. All that night, the king went without food and largely without sleep, worrying about his friend Daniel. In the morning, when the sun came up, he ran to the opening of the lion pit and had the stone removed. "Daniel, servant of the living God, has your God, whom you constantly serve, been able to deliver you from the lions?" Then Daniel, he spoke to the king. "O king, live forever. My God sent his angel and shut the lions' mouths, and they have not harmed me, inasmuch as I was found innocent before him, and also toward you, O king. I have committed no crime." The king was so happy that Daniel had survived. And he was so impressed with the God who saved him that he actually sent out a message to his entire kingdom. "I will make a decree that in all the dominion of my kingdom, men are to fear and tremble before the God of Daniel." Oh, and by the way, the king had these guys thrown into the pit. And before they touched the ground, they were goners. Daniel's spiritual problem was solved spiritually by a God who loves to save his children, bring them into his arms, and hold them there forever. Well, that's our story for today. Thanks for being with me again in the workshop. Now, there is a lot more story of Daniel. He had adventures before the lions, and he had adventures after the lions. And you can read all about them conveniently in the Bible and in the book of Daniel. Thanks for being with me again, and we'll see you next time.